Hi guys, this is Tini and Tanya. Welcome to episode 1 of Utini Girl. On today's episode, we'll be covering the Mummy Club.
Yeah, oh my word, I froze for a second. I was like, what are we covering today again? But yes, the Mommy Club.
Yes, we will be diving deep on the episodes before the reunion.
Yes, I think it's a combined deep dive of season 3 of the Mommy Club.
Yes.
And then we'll discuss the reunion, which is coming out on the 17th, right?
I think it's the 17th.
Yeah. We saw some new girlies in season 3. But let's start by introducing who the girls are. Let's start with the OGs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the OGs is Happy. She returned for the full season. And we saw Mrs. Mop make an appearance. She hasn't returned to the Mommy Club. Nozipo also didn't return to the Mommy Club, but she did appear for an episode or 2. But we have some new girlies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some interesting girlies.
Yes. We had Mrs. J and Mrs. Sunday. Peladi. There was Vui.
And our girl Noxie.
Noxie also.
I personally love Noxie.
Noxie, yeah.
Yeah, so we will actually dive deep on some of the dynamics and the drama that unfolded this season, which was very, very interesting and exciting. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched, please go watch. If you have watched, please add your opinion and what you think of what we're saying. So I think what we can actually start about is the initial meetup of the ladies, the first dinner that everybody had, and what your opinion is and stuff like that.
That dinner was so awkward. Yeah. And the ladies that were awkward for me was Peladi and Uvui were acting very strange.
I won't lie, that first episode, I actually had a problem with Noxie.
Really?
When they were having the dinner and she kept saying, I can't see. Asking people to move. I can't see.
Oh my
So I was like, okay, you don't know these people. And, your first experience of new people, you demanding, you want to move, you want to that. And then when she asked Vui the first question of, what do you do?
Yes.
At first I was like, how can you sit and just ask someone what do you do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now in hindsight, when I look back, I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't a bad first question.
Yeah.
But I won't lie, my first experience with Noxie, I was like, okay, girl, you're doing a bit too much, and it's getting up and moving to go sit on another
chair. Side,
so I was like, okay, this season she's gonna be the diva.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with Unoxie. And you?
I feel like, so I'm a short girl, and I think Noxie is also a short girl.
Yeah.
She looks like she's petite, she's short. And generally what happens when you are a short girl or you're petite, people tower over you.
True.
So when there are people in front of you, you actually can't see.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced this a lot at concerts or any of type of events with similar settings. I always ask the person in front of me to move their chair a little bit back, or I have to sit in the front because I can't see. Yeah. And it's not anyone's fault, but the person in front of you is generally not cognizant of the fact that they're blocking you.
Okay.
And I think that's what happened to her. I could resonate with her because of that. And I just thought for me as well, in our settings, when you meet someone, you do ask people what do you do? And it's like a normal question.
Yeah.
You don't get offended by it unless you're pushing some criminal activity.
That's
I'm
true.
not implying that Rui is doing something criminal.
Her reaction actually threw me off.
Yeah.
So for me it was like, okay, Noxie asked her what she does, but the reaction for being asked that I felt like was a little childish and immature on Vui's end.
Agree.
Another thing was at that dinner, I felt that Peladi was sizing the ladies.
Right.
I also had that feeling. She was there, especially Noxie.
Yes.
I felt like it was like she saw her, she didn't like her, and that's where the drama sort of started.
Agree.
Yeah. Not necessarily of what Noxie was saying.
She was intimidated by her from the onset. I actually think a lot of the ladies didn't like Noxie because she did come across as strong, as someone who's self-aware. And I think she came across that way because she wanted to make an impression.
Yeah.
I don't know what your opinion was, but it gave me someone who wanted to make an impression because she's probably seen these ladies and she holds them in high regard.
True.
So she came there, she's like, oh, I'm Noxie, this is what I do, I've got a business, whatnot. And she thought she was walking into a safe space with ladies who are also happy with their accomplishments. Yes. Because when you see them on social media, they always speak up. Yes, they always speak up about, I've got a business. Oh, happy. I mean, she posted on her trucks. She's a businesswoman. So she was trying to, fit in based on what she saw on the socials. Yeah. Is what I'm thinking.
I think for me, from the first dinner, I didn't pick up the dynamics. Yeah. Where I picked it up was the following dinner. There was another dinner where they eventually ganged up on Noxie.
Oh, yes!
Literally forced her to apologize for every little comment she said to them. Basically, everyone ganged up on her, making her apologize to Peladi, making her apologize. And what I found very weird, though, moving to the next person was Mrs. Sunday.
Yeah.
I think one of the most dangerous people to be around is a person that appears flip-flops, that is two-faced. That when they are within the group, within the crowd, they align with the crowd. And when the crowd is not there, they're supporting you, they're running after you, trying to figure out, are you okay, are you fine? And I saw that in that episode where, I'll put the episode numbers when I'm editing.
Yeah, or the clip of it,
actually. Yeah. But there was the dinner where basically Noxie had to apologize for everything that
was so cringe. And I think it's when they did the getaway. I think it's the getaway that Happy invited them to, because the next day they did a boat ride. Remember? And then Noxie was silent. I think Peladi had pegged Noxie at the first dinner where they met up. And she used the most minor thing to make it seem like Noxie is a villain. And sorry to cut you there. And I think manipulative people are very good at doing that.
At picking something. Yeah. And what I realized is that, as you said, Noxie came in being herself, thinking it's a safe space. I mean, you're meeting new people, you'll come as yourself. Yeah. And I feel that sort of triggered something in some of the ladies. Yeah. And with that, once someone, in some instances, would be triggered, they will keep to that and poke at it. And I feel that by the time it got to the getaway, they were just grabbing at anything that Noxie would say. Yeah. Noxie,
because they didn't like her.
They didn't like her. Yeah. There was things she'd say, saying that, I think Peladi had like a
hickey.
A hickey here. Yes. She said, that's so high school. That is something that you can just laugh off. True. I don't think it's something that you can hold on and now make it seem like the person is just so bad for saying it. True. So I think, in my opinion, Noxie was doomed from the start.
She was villainized.
She was damned if you do, damned if you don't. True. Honestly, it was a situation where no matter what she said, it was taken in a bad light.
And I think, for me, that's what happens when you deal with insecure people. Yeah. When you deal, I don't want to label anyone a narcissist, but it looked like there were narcissistic traits in some of the ladies there. Allegedly. I did pick up a lot of insecurities, envy and jealousy towards Noxie. And I think that's why then they were nitpicking on a lot of things. So to me, it appeared that Peladi was envious and jealous of Noxie. I mean, there's this one incident where she said, you're an African woman. Why would you go and do, I don't know what exactly
go to Europe and act un-African, something like that. And she kept...
Very weird. Exactly. She kept harboring on the fact that Noxie is married to a white man. Yes. And even Noxie found it weird. Like, why do you keep bringing up my husband? So that already tells you that there's something about that made her feel insecure. Perhaps she wants the same life that Noxie is living. I can't be sure, but something in her was triggered by this person, and that's why she was acting out. I mean, in some areas of the show, you could see that she was blatantly lying,
Yes.
but because she wanted to drop her a peg, wanted to make her feel small, she would use any manipulative avenue to try and do that. It was quite sad to watch. Actually felt sad for
Yes.
I mean,
For Noxie.
no, for Peladi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you know what I felt sad for? I'm like, imagine being triggered by someone you don't know. Imagine feeling insecure by someone you don't know. So you basically can't live your life without talking about this person. She spoke about her at every opportunity.
Even when she wasn't there.
Even when she wasn't there, which made me feel like she stayed on her mind.
Yeah.
You know, that must be sad because you don't have peace.
Exactly. And what I found sad on Noxie's end is that, you know, it's hard enough trying to build friendships at a, you know, in your 30s or at a later stage in your life, and you want people to like and appreciate you for who you are.
True.
And I feel like from day one, she was penalized for being who she is.
Yes.
So if she would say anything or do anything, she was always put in a spot to apologize for who she is. Always put in a space to be like, oh, I said this. Oh, no, that's a joke. That's a joke. And even if she says it's a joke, it's still poked to say that no, but you can't say jokes like that.
That's true.
You can't do that like that. Whereas if we look at Happy, go lucky lady, clubs, does all these things.
Yeah.
She comes as herself and she's not penalized as coming as herself. You know, so where's the balance that it's okay for you to be yourself around people and not be judged?
Yeah.
It's also not okay for you to be around people as yourself. So where is the line? So that's why it gives you this thing that maybe she just wasn't liked because she was triggering an insecurity or something in someone.
Yes.
You know, not to label people or diagnose people with things, but that's what it was giving.
But you know, I also think because, and I mean, this is not a cheerleading session for Unoxi, but she comes across as a secure individual in herself. And just being secure will trigger other people, I think. But one person that I actually want to discuss in this season is Uhappy. She showed up differently. I think she took the learnings from the last 2 seasons and she tried to be a bit more mature about things. She tried to be a bit more impartial in the arguments because she is an OG and she's hosting the new ladies. But I think she did fail in some instances, quite a bit, because you could tell that she was taking the sides with the mean girls, Upeladi, Uvuyi, and sometimes it was uncalled for. What I didn't appreciate is that she was taking sides of Peladi and Vuyi, but then would go behind their backs and be like, no, Noxie, I'm your friend. No, Miss J, I'm your friend. To me, it gave someone who's also two-faced. Flip-floppy. You also want to be liked by everybody, but when you are around big crowds, you will stick with the mean girls. You know,
On that topic, what I found very interesting was when Mrs. J was confronting Upeladi for dating, since she said they were no longer dating a married man, and how Happy really didn't fight against it.
She downplayed it. She made it seem like a non-factor.
You know, I respected Mrs. J the way she handled that. Yes, calling people out of their name is not okay. But that just showed the dynamics and how the friendships were forming. And that's how it ended with the 4 girls that were not the mean girls that were not particularly nice from the beginning, clinging together, and the 2 people that seemed the most mature and secure of the group were like, you know what, this is bigger than me. I'm out. You know, so I felt that was quite eye-opening dynamic on the show.
I think it's interesting that you say that actually, because I started respecting Mrs. J when she started standing up for what she believes in, and when she started standing up for Unoxi. First of all, she was like, you know what, guys, I think we've been mean to Noxi. I think they were taking a game drive at that time. Peladi was not having it. The other ladies also were not having it. They were making fun of her. And it's high school. These are grown women with children, and some of them are married, and you're acting so childish. What example are you setting for your family, you know? So I really respected her for saying, guys, you know what? I don't think we treated her well. She stayed behind. Perhaps we're not trying to understand her, but also what you say is so, so vital. Peladi said she dated a married man, or she is dating a married man. No one had a problem with it. That's a red flag.
Yes.
I mean, there was stuff that was published on the socials about Happy being with a married man. She says this married man was separated from his wife. We don't know the story because we're not there.
Allegedly.
You know? So perhaps that's why she didn't have any reaction. But what is interesting is that in season 1 and season 2, she kept going on about how her husband died in a car accident while he was cheating, and it's an unfortunate thing. You know, we
and
are
to
sorry.
have actually experienced that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are sorry for her loss, but she's experienced that, and still she finds it okay. She's siding with Peladi. Shows that actually they really didn't like the other ladies. Even if they were speaking sense, it doesn't matter.
And you know, on that topic, the irony of Peladi allegedly dating a married man and then holding Noxie on a standard of saying that as an African woman you should not act like this, act like that. So which side are you on? Are you okay with being a free-spirited? Because I feel like throughout the show she had this image, I'm a free-spirited woman, I hook up, I get hickeys here and there, but then on the same token you're like, as an African woman you shouldn't go to Europe and act like this, act like, which side are we? What are we doing?
She was flip-flopping because for her all she cared about is making Noxie feel small, because she felt small. That's what I think mean girls do. When they feel small, they want whoever is making them feel small to feel bad about themselves, because they're actually not tackling whatever it is internally. And that's what from the viewer's perspective, that's what I think Peladi needs to tackle. She needs to tackle her insecurities and become a secure individual.
100%. There was a part in the season 3 where I think they went to have breakfast and Peladi came with a different hairstyle and Noxie's like, hey girl, you look different.
Yes.
It became a topic of discussion. Now this is not to invalidate Peladi's feelings, but the justification of how she's treated Noxie based off something that is so minute is a little,
it's weird.
It's weird. It's very, and I feel like the treatment of gathering everybody to come against Noxie to apologize for her opinion, I felt like was just there was something underlying there. True. It wasn't as surface level as they're making it seem or as straightforward. There was an underlying situation there that they grasped at anything to knock Noxie down a peg. And I feel they couldn't do that to Mrs. J.
Yeah.
Because Mrs. J, I felt, was more vocal in standing up for herself.
Yeah.
I felt that what really didn't help Noxie much was that she was quick to apologize.
Yeah. So they knew that they could.
They knew who was the weakest. Lack of a better word. Mrs. J, she was able when they were at the game drive to stand up for Noxie by herself amongst those ladies, and they did not break her down.
Yes, she did not back down.
And the episode where they went out, I think it was to the restaurant, and she fought with Peladi.
Yeah,
she still didn't back down. Peladi left.
That's true.
Every time they were against Noxie, Peladi never left because she knew those ladies would stand up for her.
100%.
But also and Sunday.
Vui, Sunday, and Happy would also form part of the crew that would stand up for Peladi. I think there was a lot of gaslighting on this show. I'm glad that we got to see this dynamic because this is something we need to speak about. Mean girl energies.
And making friendships.
We're not going to accept mean girl energy anymore. We need to call it out. We need to talk about it.
And picking up the dynamics and understanding that just because you are at a certain age and you want to make friendships doesn't mean you can just accept anything. Because sorry to cut you, but I like I have a thought now that Peladi literally ill-treated Noxie for saying little things of like a hickey is childish, or you look different with your hair and whatnot.
Yeah.
Treated her so badly. But Mrs. J literally called her, I don't want to say the word, but it's a very popular South African song. Yeah.
Wapitoria.
Wapitoria. Literally dragged her in front of people. And Peladu, all she did was grab her stuff, she left.
She's very good at playing the victim.
Playing the victim. Mrs. J was not forced to apologize like everybody else, but she called her the worst things. Literally told her that this is why you lost your children. That I felt is so hardcore, but she did not hold her to the same standard that you held Noxie.
True.
So those dynamics made me realize that her problem with Noxie is not what Noxie said or did, it's who Noxie is. Because if she was really someone that stands up for herself and feels like, you know what, I'm just so sensitive about what everybody says, she would have held everybody to that same standard and said, I don't like that you've said this.
True.
So I was like,
True. You know who I enjoyed though? And I know some people didn't enjoy this person, Rosette.
Okay.
Bring my girl Rosette.
Rosette should not be a friend. She should be
she should be a cast member.
Cast member. Yes.
You know, first of all, she's fun. Mm-hmm. She tells it like it is, and 100%. She does not take nonsense. I love that about her.
She named it, and you know what I actually like is that she also called Noxie to order.
Yes, that's a real friend. Yes. A friend will call you to order.
She did tell her that, listen, friend, you are new to these people. They don't understand your sense of humor.
True.
They don't understand your personality. So understand it from there.
Yes.
You know. And she went that event where Mrs. J invited them, and Peladi and Vuyi were like offish and they didn't want to participate.
Oh yes, when they went. Yes.
Rosette also called it out. She's like, if you don't want to be here,
then leave.
Then bounce.
You don't have to spend time with us. I really respect that.
I like that she comes as she is and she's not afraid to back down. And I feel that I get that with her and Mrs. J.
Yes.
That's why they cannot, Vuyi cannot break her, and Pelad.
You know what I got? I actually think Happy was scared of Rosette.
Yeah.
I think she was scared of her. All of a sudden, maybe she was sick, but to me it looked like she wasn't going to the vacation because she was scared of an interaction with Rosette. Whereas before she was like, Rosette said this. We'll see. Then she gets there and all of a sudden, you know, she's demure. She can't handle this. You know, she's just gonna leave.
She doesn't want to speak to her anymore. Didn't you come there, Buck? So now you're going to back up. So it's things like that where it's like, pick a side.
Which side are you on?
What are you doing? You know? And I really feel the person that really needs help, well, let me not say help, I don't want to diagnose people with anything, but someone that really needs to
work on themselves
is Mrs. Sunday.
Yeah.
Just like Mrs. J said.
Yes.
At that speech where she was like, you need to have a backbone. You need to stop swaying with people.
That's true, hey. I feel like she really wants to be like Mrs. Sunday. She flip-flops a lot. I don't think she knows who she is. She does not show whether she should be a mean girl, whether she should be nice. To me, when I looked at her on camera, she seems like she's going through something or she's lost. But you know what? I actually think a lot of the ladies are going through a lot. Yeah. Everyone's going through a lot, 100%. But it doesn't give you the right to treat people badly, right? You know, someone who I don't want to. Maybe I should say someone who had a resting bee face the whole time was Vuyi. Why was Vuyi angry the entire show?
Did she want to be there?
Maybe she shouldn't be there because I genuinely like she has no expression. You speak to Vuyi, she's like, no, but like the most unwelcoming person the entire time. Also, I think she's as mean as Peladi. Peladi is just out there about it. She's out there about her insecurities and jealousy. I think we is a bit more subtle about it, but it's the same person. I think
she strikes at the smallest thing, like the way she treated Noxie for asking her, "What do you do?" Excuse me, to even turn your body because now you don't want to talk to this person.
Like, are you in a criminal enterprise? Like, what is it?
What is it? And I feel that she just didn't want to give her a chance.
No, she didn't. She didn't. Maybe, you know what? Maybe they researched each other before joining the show, and they decided, you know what, we don't like this girl because it's just odd.
It was odd. So that's why it just goes back to the discussion about making friendships as women. Like, why does it have to be that hard? You know, why do you have to go through those types of dynamics that you'll meet someone and they just shift on you and you don't know why?
True.
You know, what is it that people can't handle triggers, or you can't really show up as yourself anymore because if you do, then you hate it from jump, you know? So situations like that, watching this season was like, okay.
You know, watching this season for me felt like we really need to be more vocal about mean girl energy. We really need to call it out. It's a big problem.
And cliquey energy.
Yeah, and cliquey energy. I think we've accepted it so much in society because everyone wants to be in with the clique, you know. And today we're being mean to this person, today we're being mean to that person. It's not okay anymore. People are going through the most. We need to treat each other kindly. Don't just say it on public platforms and then go and do something completely different outside.
I mean, life is hard enough. And I feel people, you want to form some sort of relationships with people. But now to be penalized for being who you are. You know, I get that you're not going to get along with every single person. And I get that if you meet people, there are certain things that you could say or do unknowingly might annoy the next person, but we should be able to speak about it.
Yeah.
Don't just take something that I've said and done and use it as an excuse to hate me.
100%. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and we are going to talk about it. Also, another mean girl, what Kenya did to Brit. I mean, that is horrific. But it's not
justified.
It can't be. But it's not for this episode.
Yeah.
This episode, we're talking about the Mummy Club. You know who else I love? There's 2 other ladies. In fact, 3 other ladies that I do love. Yeah. Maybe more than that. I think the older cast had real quality ladies. We're not going to talk about them. And not to say these ladies are not of quality. I just think their energy was mean. Yeah. I loved Mrs. Mops.
I love her.
I think she's so classy. Yeah. She is well put together.
She like gives off confidence.
Yes. And she does call you out when she thinks you are being mean. I think in season 2 she was very cliquey with Happy. But I don't think they were mean to this extent. I think she did call her friend Happy out as well. I did like Nozipo as well. Nozipo is such a humble lady. I really, really love her, and I hope she's doing her style well. You know, her style as well. Nunurai. I love Nunurai because she will tell the ladies off. She will be like, love Nunurai. But I get it. Maybe they felt the show was toxic for them. Maybe they felt like they've outgrown the show, so they brought in new ladies. But I just think if we are going to have a season 4, this is my opinion, the ladies need to come back with a new perspective of life. And that means having worked on themselves, or we need to change this cast and keep only people who are there to grow each other, support each other. Because it is a mommy club. And to me, it felt like, I don't know, this did not feel like a mommy club. Very high school.
High school.
Yeah, it felt like
using Noxie's word was very high school.
Yeah, like wow, ladies grow up. Also, some of the dress code, I'm not going to pick on anybody, but some of the dress code is not dress code for people that I think are mommies. It's dressing like your teenage daughter. That's all I'm going to say. And you need that distinction between I'm a mom, I'm a businesswoman. If you are a businesswoman, you need to also be respected in your industry. I'm not saying the women are not respected, but sometimes the way you show
up. It was
up,
just a bit off.
It was a bit off. So what was your opinion? What was your roundup of the season.
My roundup. Okay, so I appreciated seeing dynamics and obviously validating the difficulties that we do face, like in real life, of friendships. And it also actually made me realize that it's okay to be yourself.
True.
People will like you or will not like you. It's okay
True.
to just be yourself. And it's actually okay to remove yourself very soon from things and people that you feel like, you know what, they're just not my people, or it's just not my space. So that's
powerful, hey?
Yeah, that's what I really appreciated at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Where both ladies, both Noxie and Mrs. J, were like, you know what, these are not my friends. We don't know what might happen in next season, if they'll come or if friendships may end, but that's what I got from that.
So next week is the reunion. It's scheduled for the 17th. And it will be interesting to see what the dynamics are there. If whoever's hosting, I don't know who's going to be hosting yet, is going to ask all the hard questions, because there's been a lot of social media engagements around this, where people are actually calling out some of the ladies for some of their behaviors.
Yes.
If you'll recall, Uhappy put out a statement of the incident where they were actually bullying Unoxi. So I'm hoping the interviewer or the host will hold them accountable.
And touch on it.
Yes.
And not glaze over like the very important dynamics that happen in this season.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think maybe let's meet up after the reunion, right? And have another one of these chats on that before we discuss something else. Maybe we'll talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Season 16.
Oh, right? Yeah. Right, that will be interesting. So, thanks guys for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to us. Give us your comments. Connect with us. We love to hear from you.
Thank you.